All right, everybody, want to welcome you to a Father's Podcast here with my friend Alberto Perez. Did I say it right?
You said it right.
What do we call you, though, really?
Berto, Albert,
Beto.
Beto.
Beto, that's the one I know. Well, listen, I'm super thankful for you to be here.
Thank you for having me.
This is a podcast about fatherhood, being a father. It's about overcoming adversity. It's about everything. You know, we have guests on here that talk about a million things. We talk about divorce and pornography and mental health and all of those things. And I think that we live in a society today where men are not vulnerable.
You're right.
You know, it's something we just kind of keep to ourselves, and it's something that we kind of internalize. And so you being here, I know, is a challenge, and you're being vulnerable, but I'm excited to have you here. I think that you have a story that people need to hear. I'm excited about that. We choose our guests carefully, so I want to say thank you so much. All right, give me a little bit of background. What do you do for a living? How many kids do you have? Who is Alberto Beto Perez?
Well, how far do you want to go back?
We don't need to go to like when you were born, you know what I mean? Let's talk about like maybe like you're getting out of high school, or when you met your wife at the time, or whatever you want to do.
So I grew up in Salinas, California. Salas. Salas is a short term for that area.
Yeah, I lived there, right?
No, because you went to Salinas Valley. That's right.
I lived there for a minute.
That's right. So my parents, great parents, my dad is always, worked since he was a kid, all the way up to he's 65 and he's 80 years old now and still working. Just the Hispanic in him. My mom, great woman, pretty much raised me because my dad was always working. One thing about me is, going through high school, I lived in Salinas, so you got a huge gang population out there.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God, he got me out of certain situations out there in my life that I can remember. I remember, one time giving a ride to a bunch of high school friends, and next thing you know, they're telling me to chase another vehicle that had the opposite gang. And I was nervous. I was scared. Flipped the turn one way just to purpose to get out of the situation. Then I met, my girlfriend, which is kind of still my wife because I'm going through a separation with her. I met her, and we kicked it off. We did good, and I went to college. And right after college, I graduated in May, and in June we got married.
Wow. So you started kind of in this life of around gangs.
Yeah.
Had the opportunity many times to be a part of the gang.
I don't know how. I mean, like I said, it's God's planning. But
yeah.
I do remember this one scenario. I was with my friends. I grew up in the neighborhood, and I was walking the halls with them, and all of a sudden you had about 20 Sureños surround us. And if it wasn't for this lady who was a campus supervisor, or the police, the kids, they called her grandma. She knew every single individual. And she's like, hey, you guys get out of here. And she kicked a bunch of them out. And then I end up having a classroom with one of my family friend's sibling. He goes, what are you doing kicking it with them? He goes, that's not you. I said, those are the friends I grew up with.
Wow.
I said, they're my friends. He goes, you need to stay away from him. I'm trying to protect you. You need to stay away from him. And sure enough, at the end of the school season, they built a new school right in the backyard of my house. And I transferred schools.
Wow. And you think that saved you?
That saved me.
Yeah. So what's amazing to me is you're around the gangs, grew up around the gangs. It's that moment, that decision moment, right? I'm either going this way or that way. And you didn't just go the opposite direction. You went the extreme opposite direction and ended up in law enforcement.
Yeah.
So when did you realize or decide that you wanted to be in law enforcement?
As a kid, I was always watching Cops. I was always, looking at cops. I'm like, that'd be cool, patrol the
Why?
street.
Were you like, there's my buddy running?
Kind of. So leaving high school, I kind of wanted to be something to do with law enforcement. I even thought of going into the military. But I had my mom, funny story is I had the army show up to my house. And my mom goes in Spanish. I don't know if I can cuss, but in Spanish.
It's okay. We'll bleep it out if we have to. Good.
So in Spanish, my mom goes, ¿Qué chingados está haciendo este hombre aquí? What the heck is this man doing here? So he talks to me and he goes, hey, you're 17, so I need your parents' signature. Mom goes, yo? Oh. So she goes, no. She goes, the guy goes, I'll pay for his college. She goes, no. And she got mom. She goes, no, I'm paying. And so she made imperative, like, get out of my house.
She said no army, no military.
She goes, get out of my house. She kicked him out. And she goes, you're going to go to college. And sure enough, I did.
Where'd you go to school?
Fresno State.
Okay. Bulldogs.
Awesome.
Different
gang.
I don't know if our listeners know about that, but it's great. So you go to college, you have you meet your girlfriend in high school.
Yes.
Did she go to college with you?
No.
Okay.
No.
You stayed with her. You guys got married 6 months after you graduated college.
Well, I went to City College, and then after City College, I ended up going to Fresno State.
Good for you.
And I did my 2-year plan at Fresno State became 3, almost 4.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. That's a whole different podcast, right?
So then right after, during my time at Hartnell College, I proposed to her, and I went to college, came back, and then we we're planning our marriage, and sure enough, we ended up getting married.
That's cool. Okay, so spoiler alert: you have 2 kids.
3 kids.
3 kids.
I have a 20-year-old, a 17-year-old, and my youngest is going to be 10.
Okay. So you watched your dad, there's a podcast about fatherhood. You saw your dad work hard, and he wasn't around much.
No.
Because of how hard he was working. Tell me about that. Was that something that you respected or resented?
I respected it. I respected my dad doing what he had to do. I think I understand more now the reasons why he did what he did. Versus go to work at 5 a.m, come back at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. There's been times where I'm like, hey, Dad, help me change a tire or help me change the brakes on my car. And he's like, I'm just going to do it myself. I didn't understand that until I became a dad. But I tried changing that perspective. Like, I know I'm tired, and does it suck trying to teach your kids how to do things? Yes, it does. But at the same time, how are they going to learn? So I changed that perspective. So, like, I don't blame my dad for not showing me the things that he knows, but I understand it now.
Yeah.
Because when you come home from a 16-hour shift, you don't want to do anything else.
But he did it because he wanted to provide for you guys.
That he wanted to provide.
And that's what you felt he was doing.
And now I understand what.
Do you think that's a little cultural too? Or do you think that's just the DNA of a man?
I think it can be. I think it can be both.
Yeah.
I think it could be both. I think the DNA of the man is we're raised to, this is what you're supposed to do, is get a family, protect, and do what you have to do in order to survive in this world.
Yeah. So you make the decision that you want to go into law enforcement. You had always been interested in it. Thought it was cool. You have 3 kids. Tell me just a little bit about that relationship. What makes you the proudest to be their dad?
Trying to be there for them, trying to show them ethics and, what it becomes to be for my son, a man, try to teach him what this world's, what we're supposed to be doing in this world. Yeah,
it's that challenge, right? That fine line. I always say, I feel like as men and as like dads, we're just always questioning, am I doing it right?
Yeah, man, I struggled a lot with my older kids, and obviously when you first become a father, you're like, it's an infinite. My daughter made it so easy for us, so we're like,
she was your first.
She was my first, oldest one, the 20-year-old. So when we had my son, he was a challenge. He made me not want any more kids. He was a challenge since the minute he was able to walk. I
It
was
was all
like,
over.
it was all over. I was like, oh my goodness. Where's this
I
coming
can't
from?
go into that for my kids. They watch this, so I got to be careful.
Yeah. So but he was a challenge even all the way up to 17. When I say that you developed the horrible, terrible twos, and he
Yeah.
just continued all the way through. But
So he had the terrible twos,
threes,
threes,
fours,
four,
five,
all the
six,
way.
all the way. But he's actually a good kid.
Yeah.
It took a lot for me to open up myself to him, and for a lot for him to open up himself to me.
So let me ask you this, because I think that's part of the concept here. So I feel like as men, we already have a challenge doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a challenge showing. I think we look at it like weakness.
Yes.
You know, we look at it like weakness. Like if I show vulnerability, I am, in my mind, I am showing weakness. And I got to tell you, just a short story. You know, I remember my son. He was probably, I can't remember if he's a teenager. I think he was a teenager. And I blew up on him at one point, and regret after regret for that type of response. But I blew up on him at one point. But I remember after I did that, I had called him. I think he had gone to a game or somewhere, and I called him and I said, "Hey, son, I just want you to know that I'm sorry for the way that I responded. That was not appropriate." Now, I act like, oh, that was so easy to make that phone call. Making that phone call was challenging. It was so difficult, but I did. I made the call. And you know what he said to me? He said, "It's okay, Dad. There's a lot of dads that probably blow up on their kids, but there's not a lot of dads that call and apologize." I just was like, wow. First of all, kudos to him to recognize that, right? To hear that, to see that. And I felt like it was just like the Lord in that moment, just kind of like, hey, I'm with you in this. Just trust me. And that's the hard part. Oh gosh, it's almost uncomfortable to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, vulnerability. Oh, I'm a man. But I think that's one of the things I want everybody to get out of this podcast is like the freedom to be vulnerable as a man, the freedom to show emotion, the freedom to be strong in weakness. I think that's just a key factor, right?
So I got a quick story off, kind of a little bit off of what you're saying. I remember one time, my dad's taking me to the hospital because I was, we're going through it. Had a little procedure I had to go through, and I've been going through a lot of emotions and frustrations, and I felt at that moment I needed to tell my dad. And so I remember I said, "Hey, Dad," I go, "Hey, I'm stressing out. I'm frustrated." I was getting to a breaking point where I just didn't know what to say, what to do, and I can through the visual, look at my dad. I'm driving, and I can kind of go look at him, and he goes, "You know what? Why don't you go talk to your brother? He's a little bit better at this." So if even up to that point, my dad didn't know how to either open up a little bit and accept what I was going through.
He didn't know how to respond to
He didn't
that.
know how to respond. I only see my dad cry one time, and
Mm.
and he even hid. And it was when he seen my sister in a casket.
Mm.
He hid in a corner, shed a tear, and it came back like nothing ever happened.
Just that mentality, trying to be strong.
That mentality, and that's the way I was raised.
So you feel like you probably carried some of that with your kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have some regrets for that?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I think that's one of the things we're afraid to talk about, or regrets, because they show, I don't know, weakness. I have regrets. I've talked to my kids about my regrets. I have regrets, but I mean, share some with me.
We hold so much, whatever angers we have, we hold it inside. And it gets to a point where you blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And I, just like you, I blew up my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, maybe I should have seek, in a sense, kind of counseling way before, once at the beginning of my career. The violence that you and I seen, it's like when you're in there, you don't we joke around all long as it's just them and not us. Until it happens to you, then you try to become a I guess like a hold it in and become a man and be like, "Oh, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay." But little by little, it just hits and it hits and it hits and it bottles up until you explode. And I exploded a lot on my kids.
Have you talked to any of them about it?
My kids?
Yeah.
About the incidents and stuff like
About
that?
blowing up on them? Has there been any conversation that you've had with them? Have they seen you come to this place of understanding that?
I think my with my oldest daughter, it was just recently. It was, unfortunately, I showed you the video of me almost getting assaulted and stabbed by an inmate. Going off of that day, that morning, I text both my kids. I said, please, someone please wash the dishes because it's a big old pile. I didn't get a chance to. And I get home and they're both the dishes are just packed.
I only laugh because I feel like this is every home.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. So I looked at my daughter and I said, hey, thanks for washing the dishes. And she goes, I did. Like, no, you didn't. Because I know what was in there. Yeah. So long story short, we both blew up on each other. And I told her, I said, and that was the day that the inmate tried to stab me. So I came home already frustrated. I came home just thinking. And we blew up on each other. And then I told her, I said, you know what? If you don't like my rules, there's a door. And she goes, what? She goes, if you don't like the way I work here, there's a door. So she stormed out of the house, took all her stuff and left. So that my youngest daughter, her birthday was on the 25th of January. So I had already had plans to take my oldest and my youngest to Disneyland. So my youngest daughter called me and says, hey, Dad, I can't wait. How are you going to go? I said, well, ask her. Because I already bought the tickets for all of us. She was, ask her. She was, and I can hear her in the background, well, Dad wants me to go. I said, on Friday, we're going to go have breakfast. I need to talk to you. And this is kind of like the hardest part for me because I showed her the video. And the only reason I showed her the video is to have her understand what us men do to protect them. So I showed her the video, and so she started bawling. She started crying. So, and I told her, I said, everything I go through in life, whether it be work, reality, this world, I hold it in to protect you guys. So ever since then, our relationship just it's the opposite. It's a straight 180. And
do you think it's because she understands more?
I think she understands more now.
But I think that was a big step for you too, to be vulnerable and like open up and show her. And for those, that are listening, you went through an incident in law enforcement where there's an attempted murder on your life. And going back to what you said, earlier, you're right. We joked about it, like, as long as it's not us, as long as it's just them. And I think that what we don't realize is even when it's just them, it's not just them. No. It affects us. We're responding to scenes. We're responding to devastation. We're responding to so many things. And it's really, really, really important that we get the help that we need. Yeah. I could go off on the other side about when you get the help, what happens, but I don't think that's what's most important. I think what's most important is that we get the help that we need. I think that's really powerful for you to have that moment with your daughter where you're vulnerable with her. But going back to the attempted murder on your life, there's not a lot of people that can say, someone tried to kill me. I think that's one of the scariest things I think anybody could ever deal with. Yeah. And in that environment, I think you probably just, I don't know if you always think it won't happen to me or if you're always heads on a swivel or any of those moments. But I want to get into that scenario right there where tell me a little bit, as much as you can, as much as you're able. I know it's still an ongoing case, but tell me a little bit about that day. What happened? So
that day was it was committee day for all these dudes, inmates that were in ADSEG.
And what's committee day for those that are listening? They're in ADSEG, which is like, I guess people would know it as the whole.
As a whole. Okay. So committee is it's a group of individuals with either counselors, the warden or chief deputy. What they do is determine where these guys are going to go. whether they need to get them out of the hole so they can get their programs out of the way. So this one individual, he went into a hole for, saying that he had safety concerns and stuff like that. And he says, hey, and he even said in committee, if you guys kick me back to this line, because I'm gonna have to do what I have to do. So one thing that I struggled a lot in the department was we're getting a huge amount of intakes of new officers, brand new, and I call them kids because they're 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids don't have any kind of life experience.
Yeah, we were those kids once, weren't we?
We were. We were, but it just seems different. And I don't know if it's because of, some people grow up in different environments. Like for example, for myself, growing up in Salinas, we always fight.
Yeah, your environment definitely affects
Yeah,
you.
we always fight.
Who you are as an adult, for sure.
So this guy, come to find out, he okey doke a brand new officer to give him a new cane.
So okey doke is kind of like, I don't know, we have so many terms, acronyms. There's so many things that we know that I don't think knows, but okey doke is kind of like pulling the wool over someone's eyes. Like, hey, yeah, this is what I need. And the officer just believes it.
Yes.
Doesn't really do their due diligence to research and find out, but gives him the cane.
Yeah. So he gives him a new cane and he breaks apart his old cane. It's a metal cane. And then, when I'd say administer in the hole, what we call the hole, I was very adamant about my staff making sure we do our job 100%. But when you have new officers, it's kind of hard to, in a sense, monitor their everyday activity with them. So the process is whenever an inmate comes out of their cell, they're supposed to be stripped down, checked for no weapons and stuff like that. Well, he ends up putting inside a little cushion that he has a little walker on. And he goes to committee. He doesn't like their actions. And then on the way out, I noticed his waist restraints are loose. So I told my officer, hey, get him on a wall. And that's when he turned around and said, what'd you say? And pulled out a weapon on me.
What were you thinking in that moment? What goes through your mind?
So during that moment, I think because I had issues with my two older kids. My son was rebellion. My daughter was attitude. So at that moment, the only one I really thought about was my baby daughter. My daughter, who's going to be 10 years old, coming up in January. She's the only one that appeared in my vision. It's almost like Armageddon. Before you presses the button, you start. That's what I saw. Recycling. You're just recycling. In a sense, after all said and done, I had to step away from the area, and I wanted to cry.
Yeah,
but I did it.
You can't, right?
I can't. I really wanted to break down, but I knew I couldn't. I just couldn't.
Me in that moment, because I know that feeling, of wanting to show emotion. And you couldn't. What emotion did you show?
Anger. The anger overpowered my ability to cry.
It goes back to those moments with our kids. Instead of showing that vulnerability, we show the anger.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a society-based thing. I don't know if that's an upbringing. I don't know what that is. But in my opinion, it's far too common in men.
Yeah.
And man, we have to become more vulnerable as men. And we have to realize that in our weakness is strength. I have to imagine in that moment, you're thinking about showing weakness, but I bet you were going through the consequences of showing that weakness.
Yeah.
What, tell me some of those things, what running through your mind. Here you are, you had an inmate pull out and I saw the weapon. This was no small weapon. I mean, it was the size of my forearm. Make an attempt at your life. Okay. You're feeling that emotion. Go through your mind in that moment about that decision. Like, if I show emotion, this is what I'm going to get. What were you thinking?
As a supervisor, you're considered to be, your officers look at you as a leader. For me, I couldn't show emotions because, like we mentioned, is like you don't want to be looked at weak, or everybody's looking up to you for guidance. And for like at that moment, for me to show weakness, it wasn't everybody's looking up to me to be like, hey, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? So it was I had to stay front. I haven't had an officer come up to me and apologize. He goes, I'm the one who pulled him out. Like I said, the wrist restraints were a little loose. And I said, hey, it's okay. Nothing happened to me. I'm fine. And he started crying, and he felt bad. But at that same moment, I knew I couldn't show that it affected me the way it did now. But I told him it was okay. I'm fine now,
Even though it wasn't.
even though if it wasn't, because that's when I started feeling the little bit of I wouldn't say fear. I would say more of like, wow, what could have happened? My daughter, my kids, my mom, my dad, my brothers.
Just that thought
That
process.
that
running through your
process.
mind.
But I had to stay strong to show him I'm okay.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Quick pause. Need a bathroom or anything? Grab some water. I'm gonna restart.
Was that 30 minutes already?
Yeah.
Wow.
Good stuff. Okay. So you're let me start over. Sorry. So you're in that moment, you like you said, you want to show the emotion, you want to cry, someone just attempted your life, to take your life. That's us, and it's a worst case scenario. There's nobody that wants to be in that scenario. And here you are still finding the place where you have to lead.
Yes.
Have to lead the officers around you, have to lead the people around you, all of those things. So, would you say you just put up a guard in that moment?
Yeah. You take a deep breath and you just keep pushing. You don't stop. You get in a sense you kind of block your mind and hold back what you really want to show.
Mm.
And it's been like that for a long time. Even going home, I remember, going home and sitting in the car just trying to decompose because I had a bad day, or there was another attempted murder on an inmate, or, just trying to relax and then go inside and try to show front with my family, my kids, my wife.
Once again, going back to that place where we mask what we're really dealing with until it's too late.
It's too late.
And I want to talk a little bit about that, because I think we don't realize how much we're suppressing until there's a tipping point, until there's a breaking point. And would you say that you feel like this was one of those breaking points for you?
I did hit a breaking point in my life, and it was a weird day. It happened on Monday, September 22nd. I woke up in a good mood, took my daughter to school, and I do whatever dad does, take selfies with your daughter, and I send them to my mom. And my dad says, hey, your mom's getting old. She loves those pictures. So I send them, almost every day, send pictures to my mom. So I did that, sent them to my mom, dropped off my daughter at school. But currently, my wife and I are going through a separation, possibly divorce. So I talked to my kid's mom, and on my way home, it was a weird feeling. I started thinking about the people I was going to text to say bye. And for whatever reason, it was the people that used to work at SAC. So I worked with you. You would have got one. But it was at that moment that my mom called me. At that moment, that very moment, that I was thinking about people to text and what I was going to say. And every mom's going to be like, hey, mijo, thank you for the picture. You guys look great. Mm-hmm. But my mom didn't say that. What my mom said is, I'm going to say it in Spanish and try to translate to English. It says, mijo, no te desquites de Dios. It's don't leave God's side. And at that moment, whatever I was thinking about just went away. And I knew that was the Lord talking to me through my mom. That saved me.
So you, that day, were ready. You woke up fine.
I woke up fine.
And all of a sudden you just had this thought that I'm done. And you made the decision that you were going to send some text messages to some people in your life saying goodbye. And you were planning on just leaving. Tell me.
And I've had people in the past, and I told you the story that I the day one of my partners was murdered in Oakland. That day I got a little intoxicated, and I text one of my old supervisors, and I told her, I said, thank you for everything you've done. You're great, but I'm done. I checked out from work. And then she called me. We had a good discussion, and she was, what do you mean done? And I said, I'm not gonna kill myself. I love myself, and I love my kids. I love myself. But that day was something different. Whatever I was thinking stopped me from thinking about my kids. Stopped me thinking about my family, the consequences. And the only thing I can say is God saved me. God was with me that day.
Chills. I got chills in that moment because that's one of the things I think that, you and I in this department, we've lost people to suicide.
A lot.
Too many.
Way too many.
The regrets that I have I have some regrets, but tell me about, like, in that moment, you said something that I think everybody who's been through this wonders, how could, if it's so selfish, or how could they just be thinking of themselves, or, all of those things, why didn't they think about me? Tell me just a little bit about that. In that moment, you just said you couldn't even think of your kids.
No, your mind is, to me, the way I felt is my mom was gone on one mission. It was gone. I couldn't think of anything out there, but what I was gonna say in those text messages. Like I've heard people in the past say, "What a coward he was." But I understand now.
People that took their
For
lives.
people that took their lives, because you don't think, you don't think, oh, my kids are gonna miss me, or how's this gonna affect my kids? You don't think about that. You just think about how you want to stop hurting. That's all you think about, is how is this pain gonna go away. So it's I now I cry every time I tell this story, because if it wasn't for Christ, I wouldn't be here.
Man, that is so powerful. You got yourself.
My son would have found me.
Oh my gosh.
He would have found me. And he's going through the same things I was going through, holding his emotions, not expressing himself. So God saved me.
I don't even know where to go from there. I feel like it's just so powerful. First of all, thank you, Jesus, that you're here today.
Amen.
To tell your story for other people who are struggling, who feel like they're in that moment of giving up. And man, oh gosh, I know what you said, and I feel it so strongly, about how does this pain go away?
Yeah.
That is just so true. Is how do you get the pain to go away? And how do you feel like you've been able to do that?
Reading the Bible, praying, and just opening up myself to whoever I can. My brother is a primary example. I sometimes kind of feel bad for my brother, because I've tried calling him. He doesn't answer. But it's just me, and he knows it, and the first person I called was my brother to tell him about my experience. And he does more to try to answer his phone calls, but I know he's busy.
Yeah.
So my brother's always been there for me, and that's always, hey, try to give me guidance. One thing about my brothers and sisters, well, actually, I had one sister. She passed away in 2009, but my other brothers, they're 10, 11, 12 years older than I am. So I had two brothers. My sister passed away in 2009. So I've always tried to, reach out to them. Mainly, my brother lives in San Diego.
Wow. So how has all of this, and just to kind of, recap, I know we kind of skipped over a couple of things, but You grow up with a dad who just works real hard to provide. You've developed this character that I think is already inherent in men, but probably even exacerbated when you have it modeled to you, where you just keep things in. You suppress in an effort to show strength,
Yes.
not realizing that what that's doing is literally eating away at your strength. And then so you've become this person, you've had gang situations, you go into law enforcement, and we didn't even go into, when it comes to law enforcement, I mean, the attempt on your life, I would say, is just the pinnacle of devastation that can happen in that type of environment. But we didn't even, go into the other things that affect us, the murders that we respond to, the assaults that we respond to, the staff that we lose due to suicide and mental health, and just the toll that environment really takes on you. So you're dealing with that.
Yes.
On top of that, your marriage is affected. You're going through a divorce.
Yes.
And then your relationship with your kids are affected. You go through all of that, all while trying to stay strong. Even to the day where the attempt on your life was made, you came home strong.
Yes.
You came home strong in dealing with your daughter and the dishes.
And the dishes and like to me, in that situation with my daughter, I was at a breaking point where I just couldn't deal with her. So I had to stay strong and tell her like, hey, it's in a sense kind of like it's my way or get out. And she left. But even at that moment, I didn't feel like no emotions. Like I still had to be strong because I still had my son there.
So you watched your daughter walk out the door and still stayed numb.
Yes.
September, you have the idea, that thought that says, I'm done. I'm done with this world. Your mom calls you completely led by the Lord.
Yeah.
And God saves you that day. Is that another turning point in your life, would you say?
Oh yeah. It's a big chapter in my life where I knew he's always with me now.
Mm.
That told me that he wasn't going to leave my side. And now I feel like I need to express myself to other people and help them understand that there is our Lord and Savior.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not going to leave you, because I believe there's a lot of people that say that he's not real or he's there.
Oh, yeah.
We just don't see him.
What would you say to other first responders who are at that breaking point?
Pray. Seek the Lord.
Does it get better?
It gets better. It gets a lot better. I'm happy now. I can say that I don't stress anymore. I don't have to worry about, when I worked in the prison system, I was always trying to seek the overtime.
Mm.
And there's no overtime for me. My pay is 2/3. So I'm compensating with my vacation and sick time.
Mm. You're still going through the process.
I'm still going through the process.
I mean, you're in it. This is fresh.
This is fresh.
What you're walking through.
Yeah.
What you talking about. Okay. What were you just talking about? Do you remember?
Basically, you asked me how does this change and
Does it get better?
Does it get better?
Let's start there. So, in speaking to the law enforcement, the people who are at their wits' end, they're at the end of their rope, would you say it gets better?
It gets better. It does, and there's one thing that we gotta think is mostly pray and ask God for guidance, because that's what I started doing. I got very involved with the church. I go to church in Elk Grove. My son and I went to a men's retreat, and even there, my heart was guarded. It was still, knowing that I was around other men who are believers. My heart was still tight. It was guarded. It had a big old rock, and the message and throughout the whole retreat was, how can we break that rock and open it? It was almost like God was telling me, like, it's okay.
Well, this is fresh.
This is fresh.
This is happening now.
Everything, when I say I hit rock bottom, my wife left at the beginning of the year. I kicked out my daughter out of the house because of what, the situation I had to go through. My son, I couldn't get him to open up. I knew that something was bothering him, but I just couldn't get him to open up. And he also guarded his heart. So it was a tough situation for me. It was very hard.
So how would you say in this new season of your life, you've been through so many challenges, how would you say your perspective on vulnerability has changed?
I never thought I'd be here talking to my story with you. But I feel like I need to spread the word about how powerful God is and what he's capable of doing to in a sense, help that one individual out there who says, I'm done.
I think that's a huge piece. I think if nothing else is received from this episode, I think that if one person says, you know what, I can fight, I can keep going, I'm strong enough. Just hearing your story, going through the things that you've been through. And so here you are now. And I know we all love a happy ending, but you're still in the process.
Yeah.
This is still a process.
It's a huge process. Like I said, it's when you hit breaking point, you start seeing the things, how you got there. Like I said, my wife leaving was one. Splitting up the kids was two. I had my son, and I asked my son, I go, why'd you stay with me? He was, I wanted to stay with somebody who was going to be by themselves. So I think that helped me understand a little bit, in a sense to where I knew I needed to change my son because I seen him going the same way, the same route I was going through.
Break the cycle.
I wanted to break the cycle.
And now here you are.
My son hit a breaking point. We had a dog, and none of us could take that responsibility. So I finally told his mom, I said, hey, I can't deal with the dog no more. You need to take him, or I'm going to get rid of him. And that was my son's love. My son was going out with a girl. They broke up. That was my son's love. I bought my son a bird, a cockatiel. We raised it since it was a baby.
A bird.
And the bird flew away. That was my son's love. So that day that the bird flew away, my son came up to me. He was, we got in an argument. He said some words that were really hurtful. I was in a breaking point of
kids can do that, man.
Yeah,
kids can do that. Boy, do they!
I was in a breaking point of kicking him out of the house too, because
Wow.
I just couldn't do it no more. And we had a discussion that night, and I asked him. I said, "Son, let me ask you again. Are you suicidal?" He goes, "Yes, I am." That hurt. So in my mind, I'm thinking, where did I fail to have my son think that way? Where did I fail? So he told me something I will never forget. He was, "Dad," and this is before my incident on September 22nd. He was, "Dad," I'm afraid of losing you. He told me, he was, I've lost so much already. I'm lost myself. We talked. I got him counseling, and now he's just like, it's like I said, same thing with my, the same issue with my daughter. It was 180. Now my son turned around and he's picked up the Bible.
Wow.
He's reading.
Went to the men's retreat with you.
Went to the men's retreat. He didn't want to go. And that day I said, I'm going to ask you again, do you want to go to the men's retreat with me? He goes, yeah. He goes, I got nothing else to do.
Wow.
Let's do it.
God impact you guys there?
What was that again?
Did God impact you guys there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He'll meet you.
It was awesome.
Wow.
The pastor, he, like I said, I felt like he was talking to me. Like, you're talking to me now. Okay, cool. Awesome. My son came back, reading the Bible. Now he wants to go to the, youth groups, and he's even influenced one of his friends to come to youth group with them.
Wow.
And he's talking about being baptized.
That's great.
So it's when you hit a breaking point and you feel God talking to you, listen.
Well, there it is right there.
Listen.
I mean, the fruit, just seeing like the restoration in your relationships and your kids. How does that make you feel as a dad?
Awesome. It's the best moment of my life. is seeing my kids not always mad or rebellious against me anymore. Obviously we're always going to go through little trial and errors in life, but as long as we still have the same concept of, hey, let's pray together. Hey, how was school? Oh, I had a bad day. You want to talk about it? I think I'll be okay. Or out of nowhere, he'll be reading the Bible. And the other day, we went to service and went to church, and I was in a hurry because we had my youngest daughter's end of season soccer party, and I was like texting him and calling him, no response. I was like, I told this kid, let's hurry up. She goes, no, I was asking the pastor, what's a bet to help me understand the Bible, where to start reading. I'm like, okay, so I can't get mad at that.
So
I can't get mad at that.
So your kids are like, hey, Dad, I'm talking to the pastor.
Yeah.
You're like, come on, we gotta go.
Yeah, I'm trying to hurry up and calling him. He's not responding. So finally he answers the phone. I can hear him talking to somebody. I'm like, okay. When he gets in the car, son, I told you I needed to hurry up. She goes, oh no, I'm sorry, Dad. I was just talking to the pastor about where to explain the Bible to me because I don't have an understanding of where to start. So for
proud dad moments.
Oh yeah. I went from like, damn kid to okay.
Okay. Wow.
I understand.
You have an appointment in 1 minute.
Okay, yeah.
It's 10:59, so let's pause
right.
and figure out. Do you have to log in right now? What are you gonna?
Yeah, I gotta log in.
How
many cats do you have? You like cats?
I do now.
Never care for cats.
I never did, but then my son brought a cat home one day, and we loved it, and then he moved out.
You kept it.
And I was like, oh man, I wish I had a cat. All right, let's see.
Hello.
All right, yeah, we're good.
Hello.
Cool. All righty.
I forgot where we left off.
Okay, we left off talking about. We were just kind of recapping like the restoration that's happening with your kids, like how those relationships are being rebuilt. So let's do. I asked you about vulnerability, that question. All right. Okay, yeah, I got a question. Here we go. All right. So what's kind of crazy is we took a break so that you could do your counseling session for all the stuff that you're going through.
Yes.
You're like in it.
I'm in it. I'm still in the process of in a sense kind of healing from the things that I've been through at work, seeing all the violence and this, I didn't mention this earlier, but I was also assaulted back in 2016.
Wow.
2015.
Right.
2015, I was assaulted at work, and ever since then, I've been on guard. I've been,
I can imagine
going through the process with that, and like going through the counselor sessions. She goes, "You never healed from that. You should have sought counseling back then, but you bottled everything up until it was too late, and you exploded."
Yeah, and I don't know that back then there was the emphasis on getting help either.
No.
So that's a whole nother part of the equation. So with that being said, what role would you say that your faith and your counseling, what role have those played in your healing process?
Just opening up. Like, honestly, I don't think I would ever be sitting here right now expressing myself about the things I've been through in my life. If it wasn't obviously for my faith and, having that trust again with people. I've always respected and trusted you, being my boss and a good friend.
You know that part, bro. No, I respect that a lot. And it's funny. I think back, to our investigation days. This conversation never would have happened.
No,
we would not be.
No.
But I think that says a lot about growth and strength. And so with that in mind, how has your definition of strength changed?
You might have to explain this in Spanglish to me because no.
Well, I mean, we talked earlier. I love that. We talked earlier, but we talked earlier about how we identify strength as portray we portray a lot more strength than we actually
Yeah.
have. And so and the irony is in that we think we're strong. So that would have been, there was a
Yes.
time when that was my definition, right? How do I know I'm strong? Because people look at me and think I'm strong.
Yeah.
That's how I identify as strong, not knowing that internally not strong.
Yes.
I took a lot of great acting classes growing up, and they have helped me. You know, they've helped me project strength when I didn't have it. So with that in mind, that was my definition. Probably you had somewhat of a similar definition. What would you say strength is now?
Strength is now is being more open, being more able to express our thoughts, our thought process. Like you said, having that, okay, I gotta hold this in. I gotta be strong for my kids, not knowing that they were doing the same thing I was doing. Also, it affected them. So for me to be more vulnerable and be more open to a different kind of strength,
That's good.
it's helped out a lot.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Yeah, presenting that the reality of strength as being more vulnerable. I think it's, if I think about it, it's so much harder. It takes a lot more strength for me to show vulnerability than it does for me to suppress it. The irony is just crazy. But that it's so powerful when we begin to do it. We see people begin to open up. We see relationships begin to be restored. We see family members, things changing, that we're on the wrong path, that we're heading the wrong direction. So I think that's so great to see where your kids are at and see just the restoration, where that's going. I want to finish with just a few questions, a kind of little rapid fire questions. You don't have to think about them too much, but I want to start with this. What's one thing that your kids have taught you about life?
Throughout the whole struggles of being a dad, it's okay to open up to them and showing what struggles I've been through. Because like we explained, when we bottle our things up, it negatively affects them without even me realizing it's negatively affecting them.
Yeah, that was probably really hard to see.
So
Yeah.
that was actually the hardest part, is me realizing that it's my actions were also causing them to bottle up and have some type of frustration and anger the same way that I was having it, not realizing that I was doing it.
Yeah,
So that taught me a lot.
that's great. What's a moment that as a dad just makes you smile that you can think about?
I can think of numerous things, but just seeing the development in my children, changing the way of them thinking. Biggest moment for me is when my son, after we came back from the retreat, my son talking about, I'm trying to understand the Bible better.
Mhm.
That was a proud moment for me. For my oldest daughter, it's more of she ended up moving out. She got this young kid. They're in a relationship, and seeing her mature a lot more and having that responsibility. Because I asked her to come back home with me,
Mhm.
and she said that one thing I always remember. She said, "Dad," she said, "our relationship's great. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm gonna go on my own." To me,
Yeah.
that was a proud moment because now she took the responsibilities of life.
Yeah, that is. I can see that. Wow.
And then my youngest, a little working process, but she's always been my baby. She's 10 years old.
Yeah.
She's my baby. She runs up to me, hugs me. Not so much on the kissing part around people, but for the most part, she shows affection.
She's too cool for that.
She's too cool for that right now. But she shows the affection.
It changes so
love.
quick, huh?
But it changes so quick. And I'm already seeing the little changes, like, give me a hug. She'll give me a hug. Where's my kiss? Are you too cool to kiss your dad now or what?
Yeah.
But I can still see that love in her with me.
Wow. That's really great. What's one thing that you wish every father understood?
So it's okay to talk to somebody. it's okay to express what you feel inside and because going back to a situation at work where I was going through a separation, one of my officers was going through a divorce. We're talking about our different experiences, and another officer walks in, kind of chimes into what we're talking about. And the one comment he said, it was, "You mean to tell me that I'm not the only one going through this?"
Mm.
And what comment, kind of another moment where God was there, was he goes, "I almost checked out 2 weeks ago." So for me to be there in that moment and realizing, like, it's okay for us to have conversations about how you feel, and you're not the only one.
Yeah, you don't realize the impact you're making, do you? It's funny. I think that's what the enemy likes to do, just shut us up. But when we begin to open up, when we begin to communicate with others, the Bible says, as iron sharpens iron. When we come together and we realize we're not going through this alone, your officers in that moment realized they're not going through this alone. And boy, isn't that freeing to realize? I mean, even you in your situation right now, you're realizing that you're not in this alone. It helps carry you through the hard times. That's so good. So good. All right, finish this sentence. Being a father has taught me.
Being a father has taught me how to love. And also, it's not easy. Everybody's going to go through the trials and errors in life.
That's really good. Taught me how to love. Wow. Powerful. Last thing, if there's a dad out there who's barely holding on, watching this, what would you tell him?
Pray, and you're not alone.
That's great. Any closing thoughts you want to share?
One thing I've always, the verse that I've always had on me was, I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13.
Mm.
And I carry that wherever I go, because it's God who strengthened me, and it's got me to today.
It's awesome. It's great to see where you're at. I'm proud of you, proud to know you, proud to see the process that you're going through. After, 19 years in law enforcement?
17 and a half.
17, almost 18 years in law enforcement, father of 3, navigating divorce, recovering after almost calling it quits, going through an attempted murder on your life, all of that, and just seeing resilience, redemption, and really, I would say, rediscovering the purpose as a father in the middle of the hardest moments is so powerful. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I believe this episode is going to help so many people. And I want to say to all of you out there listening, if you're going through a hard time, if you're at your wit's end, there's help out there. Please, please, please reach out. Reach out to your local hotline. Reach out to your friends. Reach out to your loved ones. Do not do this life alone. We are better together, and we're here for you.
Yeah, most definitely.
Awesome. It's great having you, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.